So are you talking?
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Business, brought to you by the Washington Center for Women in Business. This week, we're happy to feature Kaylee Purcell, who's going to talk to you about COVID-19 resources for businesses. Before we get started, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the programmatic offerings we have at the WCWB. Just a few webinar tips here. If everyone could please mute themselves, that would be great. If you are having trouble hearing this call, then go ahead and use the instructions to call in to you with your phone. And if you do have questions, feel free to type them into the chat box, and we can read those out to the group and then get those answered by Kaylee. We offer a number of small business services at the WCWB, including the Business Enterprise Startup Training, which is an 8-week course that helps you get your business idea into a professional business plan. It also gives you access to a web application called LivePlan that helps make writing a business plan significantly easier. Anybody that's interested in getting funding for your business, you need that business plan, and this is a great place to start. We also offer free business coaching, and we recently have hired an accounting coach who is a CPA who can help you get your business's books in order. And those business coachings are absolutely free. I'll give you contact information at the end of this presentation. We are located in the Thurston Economic Development Council and Center for Business and Innovation, and we have a number of other partner organizations that provide free to low-cost service for your businesses, including business counseling from the Small Business Development Center, government contracting help with our Washington PTAC Center, business mentorship with our SCORE program. If you are in business, we have a ScaleUp training program to help you grow your organization. We also have our version of a local Shark Tank that features 40 Thurston County investors who are interested in investing in highly scalable businesses. We do have our own maker space, which is basically an inventor's workshop. And so if you have a product idea that you would actually like to create, you can do that at the Lacey Maker Space. If you have any questions or about any of our resources we offer at the Thurston EDC or WCWB, please go to either email info@wcwb.org or go to our website at www.wcwb.org. Without further ado, we would like to turn the mic over to Kaylee and help these businesses with some COVID-19 small business resources.
Some resources for you guys. My job is to understand what resources are there, stay up to date on them, and be able to help. Next slide.
Oh, sorry.
So today we're going to cover, I think you maybe skipped a few slides there. Okay, there we are. So today we're going to cover both federal, state, and some local resources for y'all. And we're going to start with the SBA programs. And you may be familiar with some or all of these resources, but they're constantly changing. So we're going to touch on some of the nuances of each one of these that are hopefully relevant to you. Like Sean said, if you have any question, just go ahead and put it into the chat box, and we'll just stop and address that. All right, so we've got the PPP should be up first here on the next slide. That's our Paycheck Protection Program put out by the SBA through the CARES Act. Here's some generic information about it. As of last Friday, we have $130 billion left in that fund available to businesses. This is available to all businesses with less than 500 employees, also available to nonprofit 501c3 organizations, veteran, tribal organizations, self-employed, and 1099 independent contractors. So you don't need to have employees in order to utilize this loan program. To apply, you work with your local lender. If your local lender is not getting back to you or is bogged down because of the volume, you do have some online alternatives: PayPal, Intuit, Cabbage. Those are all online platforms that allow you to process an application pretty quickly and are able to work through that. We do have a deadline on this program, June 30th, so you want to be able to get your application in prior to that because the last day an application can be approved is the 30th of this month. These loan amounts can be up to $10 million and any amount in between. And the beautiful thing about these loans is that if used properly and following their guidelines, these are what they're considering forgivable. Basically, it's a grant program and you will not have to repay these loans if you follow the guidelines. If you don't follow those guidelines or you're not able to meet that criteria, this converts into a loan with a 5-year term if you have yet to apply with a 1% interest rate. On the next slide, we'll talk about some of the nuances of this program. So as of June 5th, they made up some more rules and regulations about this, but it actually makes it more flexible. So if you've yet to apply, this would be the time to do it. When they initially made this program, you had to use 60% of the total loan for payroll costs in order to be eligible for forgiveness. They've changed that up to 75%, so business owners can now use more of that funding for payroll. Beyond payroll, you can use this loan for mortgage, rent, and utilities. So those are some of the flexibilities that this offers. They also changed the forgiveness period. Initially, you had to use all of your money within 8 weeks in order to be considered forgivable. They've changed this to 24 weeks, which gives you a lot more time to spend that money and make sure that you're spending it appropriately. If you got this loan prior to June 5th, you have a 2-year term if it converts into a loan. And if you apply after June 5th, then that actually gives you a longer term of up to 5 years. So a little flexibility there too. Initially, this program allowed a 6-month deferral from your payment from the day you got your funds dispersed. And with this new update, it's going to allow you 10 months up for that forgiveness. So it's also going to make that a longer time when you have to actually make payments on that loan. Any questions about the PPP loan application process or forgiveness on that? So these slides will be available for you afterwards. There's a link at the bottom and all the information detailing that can be found. If you need help applying for the PPP, we have a resource for you through the SBDC, and we can connect you directly with an advisor, and they can answer questions and be a support to you to help fill that out. Your local lender is also a resource who could help fill out that paperwork. And you can see the application online if you want to check it out ahead of time. And you can also see the forgiveness application. So what's going to happen is you're going to spend your money, and then you actually have to apply a second time for that forgiveness term. And that paperwork is on there as well.
So, Kaylee, we do have a question in the chat. The question is, where do we get help applying for PPP? And so how do we get connected with the SBDC?
Yeah, so we're going to have a link in here for the SBDC that you can get when we email you these slides. Or you can go to the Washington SBDC website directly, which you'll see in a second here, and find a local advisor like Jennifer Dye for Thurston County, and we can help you get connected. And then you go through that application process, answer any questions, or your local lender can. Okay, so the next program you've probably heard about is EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan. This was initially created as a loan, and everyone was more interested in the forgivable portion, which is what they're calling the advance. So if I'm an employer and I'm a sole entrepreneur, it's just me, no employees, I could apply for this loan and receive $1,000 of funding that's forgivable, that I don't have to repay back. If I have 9 full-time employees, I can count my 9 employees plus myself as 1 for a total of 10, and I can receive $10,000, and that money is not needing to be returned to the SBA. That's essentially free money. If I have 15 employees, it still caps me at $10,000. So it's $1,000 per employee. And initially, this was open to all. It got very inundated. A lot of people never heard back. They shut it down. They opened it back up for agricultural businesses only. And as of the 15th, they've reopened it to both small businesses and agricultural businesses. So if you did not receive that advance, this would be the time to get online. And we've got the link here in the blue on the bottom that we'll email to you. This would be the time to apply because it's a free money resource. And there's not real strict eligibility on that. So it's an easy one to go for. And faith-based organizations are also eligible. And so there's a resource document here. You can click on that link when we email this out and read about that if you've got somebody in mind for that. And this one, they just auto deposit into your bank account as long as you put your banking information in. So you won't get an informational email that says you've been approved. They just stick the money in your bank account. So if you randomly receive a few $1,000s from the SBA in your bank account and you did apply, that's what that's in regards to. All right, next slide on that. You've probably heard about this, but we've moved the IRS tax filing to July 15th, so a little longer time to get your taxes in order and get those filed. If you did not receive the PPP loan or you're not going after it, you'll want to know about the Employee Retention Credit. It's a program through the IRS, and what that allows you to do is apply for 50% of your employee's wages as a reimbursement up to $10,000 per employee. You can file that quarterly. There's a form on the IRS's website. And again, this fact sheet here will bring you right to it when we email that out. But it's a great alternative if you have employees and you did not use the PPP loan. You'll want to know about how to fill that form out. And our coach, Beth, with our accounting services, can help you fill that form out if you need help. All right, what's next here? So if you have employees and you haven't heard about shared work, it's a great program. This was in existence prior to COVID, and what it allows you to do is take your staff and reduce their hours and still allow them to be paid at their regular wages, essentially. So if I have staff that all work 40 hours and I just opened after COVID and my business is not busy enough to have everybody back full time, I could reduce them all the way down to 50%, 20 hours, and they could receive basically ESD unemployment benefits for the difference. And I just reduced my payroll. Now I have to keep benefits flowing to them as that's a plus on the employee side, but I'm able to keep my people working and paid. This is also available for seasonal businesses. So if I'm a landscaper perhaps that doesn't do a lot of business in November and December, I could use this program to reduce my employees' hours and still keep them incentivized by being paid. So it's a great opportunity. If you did get the PPP loan and you don't have space or volume to be bringing everyone back, you could put people on part-time, cycle them through different shifts, and this could kick in as the difference. And this is eligible to be used well on the PPP, so that's a nice combination. To find out if you're eligible, you just call that number at the bottom, and in 4 minutes or less, they'll tell you once they pick up the phone whether or not you're eligible, and your employees can be on this program for up to 1 year. All right. So this is that slide for the SBDC. So you got the website here, WSBDC.org. That's what you're going to go to find your local advisor. Jennifer Dye is our local advisor in Thurston County, and every county in the state of Washington does have a local resource. So dive in and figure out who's closest to you. And these are free resources. You can meet on them one-on-one for free business coaching, or any questions about the SBA programs, the PPP loan, they're going to be a really strong resource for you. They also provide regular webinars. So here's the next couple coming up. They have one all in Spanish on growing with Google, how to grow your business platform online. They have one all about the Paycheck Protection Forgiveness Program, and they do that weekly. And they do a lot on marketing and branding, so just check back in to see what they have available. At the bottom there, you'll see a couple resource guides, how to continue to rebuild during a time of an emergency. And their Paycheck Protection Program calculator can be helpful to understand where you can spend your money and how much you need to save out to make sure you hit that forgivable period. All right. I'm sure you've all heard about this. We have to touch on it. So unemployment benefits became available for small business owners in April. This was part of the CARES Act, the second round. And what this allowed was for business owners for the first time to be eligible for both state and federal unemployment benefits. So there is a guide they've put together, and there's a link here at the bottom. If you have yet to apply, it's not too late. If you're even back at work and you were out of work for, let's say, the month of May, you're able to go back in and apply for your benefits for the month of May. The biggest mistake that we're seeing business owners make is when you get to the line where it asks, where did you previously work? If I own that business, I leave that line blank. It's really important. If you've already tried to apply and you didn't leave that line blank, the next step is to get on the phone, call the 1-800 number, and let them know you need some help for them to remove that on their back end so you can move forward. I have heard Saturday morning is the best time to call ESD right now, or first thing 7 a.m. on a weekday to try and reach a representative. They have started to have other call centers answer their phones, so bear with the process, but it's definitely worth going in and checking those benefits. What happens is if you get to the process, you will need your 2019 tax return or tax documents like your Schedule C to upload to prove that you had some sort of income. That is one of the requirements. Once you get through the system and they do approve you, you'll be automatically approved for $233 a week. That's on the state unemployment side, and that's their minimum in the system. And so right now with the inundated inquiries, you're automatically approved for $233, plus the federal PUD gets kicked in. That's the pandemic unemployment, that's $600 a week. So together you get the $233 plus the $600 a week. And that federal benefit goes through July 25th, I believe. So you can go back and request that, you know, through the month of March, and for any of those hours that you weren't able to work. And it is a little bit of a delay right now, but you can be paid back for those hours. So highly recommend that. And if you have questions, I know that hotline, that 1-800 number is a little bit of a pain, but it's the best answer to be able to get through that process. All right. So if you're a local business, some of the counties have started to pay for PPE. As you know, it's a big requirement for reopening if you have a physical location. The requirements of social distancing and wearing masks and hand sanitizer, on site. So Thurston County businesses can apply on this website, and they're eligible to pick up 100 masks and a gallon of hand sanitizer. We're using our local businesses to supply those masks and to actually make that hand sanitizer. And we're happy to be able to do that. But it is a first come, first serve. Go online and apply, and then you'll get a time you can pick up at our drop-off site. So highly encourage you to do that. We modeled that after Pierce County. On the next slide here, you'll see that they're the ones who started this. And currently, they're kind of out of supplies, but starting next week, they'll be eligible again. And I encourage you to check with your county if you're not in one of these two. I do know Lewis is working on making this available, and Mason is considering it with their county. So please voice your opinion to your local county and let them know. That would be great help for businesses. All right. This is a very slide, but I want you guys to have these links. So if you're curious how to reopen, the state has put together an awesome guide on each industry. What are the requirements? What do you need to know? And so it's a great guide to follow if you're curious or confused about what I need to do to reopen my business. Thurston County has put together a great guide called the Restart Toolkit, which does have the standards for industry. It also has some information about specific bringing back employees, making your safety plan, and some of those other parameters. We'll email that out to you. Sean covered a lot of this information, but here at the Washington Center for Women in Business, we do have free resources for you that are paid through the SBA grant. So we do have one-on-one coaching. We do have our regular monthly intro to business. So if you have friends thinking about starting a business, it's a free webinar for them to kind of understand the steps. We have our bi-monthly Let's Talk Business, which we're on today with various topics. We have ScaleUp Consulting, which I'm going to dive into, which you're going to want to know about. And then our BEST program that Sean mentioned to put together a business plan and really get going in the right direction. On this next page, we're going to cover our local food hub. So if you're an agricultural business or you know a local farm or food producer or food product company, they're going to want to know about this. So we're launching this in mid-July, And what this is going to allow is a weekly drop site in all of these different counties: Thurston, Lewis, Pacific, Grays Harbor, and Mason County. And a business can, if I grow carrots, I can sign up on this website. It's ran by a co-op, and I'm allowed to sell my product now to all these new markets that may have been inaccessible prior to this experience. And if I own a salsa company or a finished food product, I can also participate. And so this is just one more way we can connect our local ag businesses to local consumers. So to start out in phase 1, it's going to be direct to consumer. In phase 2, we're going to add in hospitals, colleges, and larger food systems so they too can order from our local producers. So stay tuned for that. That'll be out next month. If you're interested in being added to that list as a product maker or farmer, just email this email at the bottom of the page. Or if you're a consumer interested in buying those fresh local carrots, you can also email that email and figure out how you can get signed up. So here's our ScaleUp consulting. This came out of our COVID grant for the SBA, and it's a big deal. So if you are in need of accounting, an e-commerce website, or help building systems in your business, this is an awesome resource. So let's say you're currently in your pen and paper notebook for your accounting system. Maybe you've got some kind of Excel system set up, but you want to move into a QuickBooks, Mint, a different kind of platform, a little more sophisticated. We can actually assign you an accountant who can help you get that set up your chart of accounts, understand how to use it, do some training on that, and move you into a better system. And so with that too, if you have tax questions, how to file something differently, we have a CPA who can work with you at no cost to answer those questions and understand that process. Another big thing right now is maybe you received a loan or you haven't, and you're just stressed out about how long can I stay in business. We can help with cash flow planning, look out into the future and figure out, well, how much money do you need to continue to operate? And then on the other side of that, how much in sales do you generate to keep going? And so we can help you create a cash flow plan to look out into the future a little bit, understand what your game plan is going to be and how long or short your runway is before something has to change. For the e-commerce, oh, was there a question? Okay. So the e-commerce site, we're specifically looking for folks who started a website yet selling online and would like to. We're actually going to pay for the development of an e-commerce website for small businesses. And so how that works is you go to our website, WCWB, and you apply for any of these services, and we'll reach out to you. And if it's an e-commerce website you need, we'll provide you with a list of local web developers that do that service. You can check out their portfolios, select one that you want to work with, and we'll actually develop that website on your behalf. You'll work with the website developer directly. So that's an awesome service right now, thanks to the SBA and the Women's Center. And the same goes with, so been wanting to create that handbook or create an onboarding process, or there's something in your business that could work a little more seamlessly if you had a system in place your employees or someone else could follow. And we have consultants that can work directly with you to develop that. And again, you just get onto our website, wcwb.org, to apply. It's not specific to women. It's all genders are eligible to apply in Washington State. All right. You may have heard of our program, ScaleUp. It's a training series. Each one of these 3 series are 4 weeks long. And it starts with business tune-up, which helps you put systems into place, build your market, re-identifies your marketing plan or redevelops a marketing plan. And financial mastery really helps you understand how to move your business forward from a numbers perspective. Each one of those series is 4 weeks long. And if you live or your business lives inside of Lacey, Olympia, or Tumwater, this program is completely scholarshiped. And if you're interested, I've got the dates here of the upcoming classes. Our next one starts next week for financial mastery. We've moved all these online for now so that everyone can stay healthy and safe. And if you're interested in applying, you just go to THURSTON.ScaleUp.org and you can apply there. If you've been looking for some alternative funding, we have heard a lot that commercial banking has dried up just a little bit right now, and banks are less likely to do commercial loans. These are some alternatives here locally that you can consider. So Impact Washington is our sister branch in Seattle, and they offer microloans a little bit alternative to a regular bank. And so that's an option that you have. They also do a pitch competition. And so till June 30th, you're eligible to apply. And the winners of that pitch competition receive $5,000. And it's based around your business plan, which we can help you create. Enterprise for Equity, the logo on the lower left there, they are a local micro enterprise association who can also do micro loans up to $30,000. Again, a little bit alternative to our current banking standards. If you have been a graduate of South Puget Sound Community College, or you've been enrolled in our programs like ScaleUp, you've worked with an SBDC officer, or you're a graduate of BEST, you can be eligible for the SPSCC microloan. Those are small loans from $5,000 to $50,000 that you can apply for, and credit score is not a factor. So something to consider as well. Think is our local investment group. We run that right here out of our offices, and that's a group of 40 local investors who just want to invest into our local community. It is primarily Thurston County, but we have invested in those in Seattle, Pierce, and Lewis counties as well. And what that looks like is you apply to pitch in exchange for either equity in your business or a loan. So I either want to give up a certain amount of percentage for a certain amount of dollars, or I'd be willing to take a loan with this kind of an interest rate. So you fill out an application, and then you work with one of us to help you practice a pitch session. And you pitch to these local investors, and you have an ability to make a deal either in the form of a loan or equity. So if you're interested in any of these, we can help connect you with those resources for some alternative funding. Any questions about any of this? Okay, we'll go on to that next slide. So again, this is our sister branch up in Seattle, and they have some great upcoming webinars as well that I wanted to just point out here. So if you're looking for alternatives to email marketing, or you're kind of more of a DIY person and you want to build your own website or build your own e-commerce, they've got some great forums coming up, all-day trainings to really teach you how to do that on your own. If you're a food processor, there's also a great class about how to get your food packaged and into a store, and that's coming up this month as well. And again, we'll email you all this so you have it. Our local company in town, another nonprofit, Enterprise for Equity, has some upcoming courses we just wanted to share here with you. Social media and content marketing is coming up June 22nd. They do e-commerce 101 for business owners, how to make that transition onto line. And then they also do a financials one-on-one, really understanding your credit score and what it takes to get ready to apply for funding or what you might want to consider for emergencies. These are all free resources. We do have a hotline set up at the Thurston EDC. This hotline has been up for a few months now, so it's not brand new, but you're able to call and just ask any question. Hey, I heard about this resource. How do I get in contact? I'd be interested in applying for Think. How do I pitch? I need help with my PPP loan application. Where do I go? So you can call and ask any of these types of questions or find out what your local city might have available for you during these times by calling this 1-800 number. And we're open Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 3:30 every day. So we're here for you to answer any kind of questions that might come up. So here's just kind of some things we're seeing that we wanted to share with you. You know, a lot of businesses are trying to figure out how to pivot right now. Where is my next market? And our business coaches can help you do this work. But we're seeing a lot of people pivot to online marketing campaigns. People who maybe have never set it up or need to completely change who they're marketing to. And so we have resources available both in classes and one-on-one on how to do that, how to set up your social media, how to reach your market. Again, with that for e-commerce websites, we can now help you build that e-commerce website and hopefully reach a new market that you haven't been able to access before and start selling online differently. We're seeing a lot of businesses pair up. So I have a retail store, you have a retail store. What if we offer some of our products in each other's store and try and spread out our awareness a little bit and market together? Kind of a collaboration approach. We're doing a lot of evaluation. You know, we wish we had a glass ball to know what the future economy looks like, but we do have, hopefully, good data on your business. we can look at your sales records over the last 2 years, month by month, and hopefully be able to identify where those revenue streams came in. For example, I was working with a company that was looking at delivery versus in-store purchases versus event sales, and trying to figure out which one of those might disappear in this new market, and where could we make up the difference for those services, and is it really realistic, or should they expect, you know, a limited income over the unforeseeable future. So we can help you cash flow plan and understand, based on where you've been and where you are now, what might need to happen to go back to normal, or deal with the new volume you might now have, or understand, is this the time to pivot and try something different? We're seeing a lot of people get help for, how do I negotiate a lease? You know, and that's something to really look at. If you're unable to pay rent and your landlord is getting stressed out, we've seen some creative tactics for balloon payments on leases, where you could tack it in later in the year or at an end of a lease period. We've seen people work with their landlords to negotiate a percentage of their sales. So right now, maybe my sales are down and my rent's going to be 80% of my sales if I paid it. That's just not realistic. So we've seen folks work out a difference. So landlords make a percentage of their sales, and there's transparency on what they're generating. So that's one idea. I've seen a lot of people reduce staff right now, and there are some programs for that, like Standby, the shared work program we talked about, or just completely reducing staff down for a new model. And so those are options that we can help you discuss and take a look at too, to save cost and move things around. We're seeing creativity in retail too, making appointments maybe in store if your product or service is something that's more of a one-on-one experience, so that people can book appointments and come in. They don't have to worry about social distancing so much. Or we're seeing a lot of personal shopping, either on the phone, you call in and let people know what you're needing and they put it together for you. They do door-side delivery, or maybe even delivery to your home. With staffing, we've seen some creativity to offer delivery. So make sure you check with your insurance company to make sure you're covered. We're seeing folks take extra employees, make them into delivery folks to actually reach their customers in a new way. So there's a lot of ways to think about how you can reposition, and those who are the most flexible right now with those ideas are going to be the most sustainable. So it's also a great time to think about what training, what certification could add to my business. Is there something for me as a professional that I could add to? Does my team, when is the last safety meeting I had? So it's a good time to think about too, what kind of systems and processes you've been putting off in your own business you can focus on now and get into place. Accident prevention plans are required for every business in Washington State, and L&I has templates on their website, but a lot of people are missing that component. So this is a great time to catch up on safety protocols, make sure your handbook's put together, and as people come back or as your businesses reopen, you can be in a position to be stronger than ever. So today, we just wanted to go through a variety of resources, and I know that was fast. Does anyone have any questions about their specific scenario or about any of these resources, or something I didn't cover that you're interested in that would be helpful? Oh, you're on mute, but I see you'd like to talk. There we go. Looks like that phone number, the 359, you're on mute.
Okay, they should be able to speak now.
Okay. Any questions? Or anything you're experiencing that you could just use some guidance around, or a resource that has not been found yet that you're hoping to find, anything like that?
If you'd like to, you can go ahead and type your questions into the chat box. If you have a question, if you are on mute, you can ask to unmute, or you can unmute yourself.
I have a question.
Please, go for it.
So we applied for the PPP loan prior to June 5th, when it was still the 2-year and the 60% and all of that. So do these new parameters apply to our loan or not?
Did you receive your loan money at this time?
We received it prior to the June 5th changes. Yeah, we received it back in May, I think.
So the timeline, unfortunately, is still the 2 years versus the 5 for anyone that's been prior to. What can change for you is the 24-week period before it was 8. You do need to just check in with your lender to let them know that you'd like to utilize that 24 weeks versus the 8, but you are eligible for that extended time period.
Excellent. And then the percentage of the amount that has to be used for wages, does that all apply to us?
We apply to you. Again, they just want you to just contact your lender and let them know you would like to extend it to the 24 weeks and you'd like to be able to utilize that new 75%, but you are eligible to use those. Some banks have you fill out a form to make sure you got like written consent that you're at, but that's available to you. Yeah, good news.
And just a point of clarification here. So it actually got reduced down to 60%, right? And so now you can use 40% of that monies for rent, utilities, or other expenses rather than 25%.
That's correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks for that clarification.
Any other questions that we might be able to answer for you today, or a resource that you're hoping you see come available, haven't seen come available yet?
There was a comment. So there was a comment. I heard a rumor that the wild was opened up for everyone again. EIDL. The EIDL. Yes, that's correct. The EIDL is open up for everyone again.
That's correct. As of June 15th, that is back open, and if you haven't applied, certainly recommend applying for that now. Yeah. Until that money runs out. All right. Is there anything else that we can support you around today? Will you have us here that would be helpful? Or a topic that you'd like to hear next month that would be beneficial for you?
Can I ask another question?
Absolutely. Yeah. Use it up.
Thanks. The idle staff change or whatever that $1,000 per employee and the PPP, wasn't there something about rolling that idle into the PPP?
So if the loan, so you can apply for a loan above the $1,000 per employee through EIDL. I haven't heard of a lot of businesses receiving that loan opportunity. A lot of it's been the PPP because it's been a better deal, but you can apply for the EIDL and you can roll them together. That's correct. Yeah. In the same way you apply for $1,000 per person, same way you would apply for an EIDL loan. I think it's sba.gov/disaster to get to that page.
So if we received the $2,000 for our 2 employees and we received the PPP, I'm not sure what our steps are then to roll those 2 together.
So if you received the $2,000 because you had 2 employees or you have 1 employee and yourself, that money is forgiven and there is not a process for reporting back for the EIDL. So that's completely going to be separate from your PPP forgiveness process. And the forgiveness process on PPP has been put out, so you can find that application either through your lender or online if you're curious what that is to fill out. But they'll be separate.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions, anyone?
I have one.
Sure, go for it.
Well, actually, 2 questions. One, I applied for the EIDL loan. I haven't heard anything at all. I have requested information on it and have not heard anything at all.
And you did not receive any kind of email with a confirmation number?
I do have a confirmation number, but I've inquired on it and gave them the registration number and nothing, no answer.
You happen to know what the confirmation number starts with? Because we have a little insider information we can help with on depending on what the first number is.
I don't have it handy.
Yeah, you can follow up with us and we can help you understand whether or not you should reapply or not based on what that number is.
Okay, one more question if I could, please. I'm a small business, food processing. I'm a single owner, single employee. Could I have applied for the people?
You can, yeah, as a sole prop or in just a one person in business, you sure can, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, and they use your Schedule C to determine what your payroll is, so you can actually pay yourself a portion of that income and cover rent and utilities as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, and for those who haven't applied, we have heard the best feedback on Cabbage with a K for an online processor in terms of speed. If you haven't applied or your local bank hasn't gotten back to you or doesn't offer it, I would recommend to check out Cabbage online.
Any more questions from anyone? Again, we will be sending out this slideshow to everyone on the call today. And so you can reference back to if you had some issues. There are links in that slideshow too that take you directly to the resource websites. And so that's something that you can get sent to you today. And then if you do have any more questions, or usually if you have a question that you know pops up in your head right after we get off, then our hotline is a great resource to call. And I'll put that number up again really quickly here.
Well, I hope these resources were helpful or that you learned something new. And please let us know if we can help with anything else or any additional resources we can provide for you.
And there's that hotline number. So if you do have a question about any of those loans or anything like that, just call 888-821-6652. And again, that's available Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. You will actually be able to speak with a real live human being that has knowledge of all of these things. And so if you do have more questions, feel free to call and we can definitely help you out, and call as many times as you need to. Don't be shy, we're here to help. That being said, if we do not have any more questions, I'd like to thank everyone for attending this episode of Let's Talk Business. I'd like to thank Kaylee for sharing all her insight into these resources. And we do have a request. Can you please put the slide for the shared work ESD back up? Okay, I can definitely do that, no problem. So there's that 888 number, if you want to get that.
May I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
Okay, you spoke about the Enterprise for Equity on loans. Would we go directly to them or go through you?
Go directly to Enterprise for Equity for their loan program. Yep, Impact Washington and Enterprise for Equity handle their own, and then SPSCC's loan or the Think Network, you go right through us for that.
Awesome, thank you.
And I just had a request here to pull that ESD slide back up real quick. So I'm just looking for that really quickly here. Oops.
Should be slide number 8.
8. Thank you, Kaylee. There we are. And so that, again, that number is 1-800-752-2500. 1-800-752-2500 for the shared work program through ESD. Okay, any more questions? All right, again, thanks everybody for participating. And again, if you do have more questions that come up, please feel free to call our hotline, and we can definitely help you out with anything into the future, especially if you're having problems with applications or things like that. Just give us a call and we can help you with that. All right, again, thanks, Kaylee. Thanks for everyone for participating, and have a great rest of your day. Stay healthy and safe out there.
Thank you.